record this so that I can share it with the rest of our partners. Can you see and hear me all right?
Hi.
Excellent. And we'll do quick introductions. I know we'll start with Ryan in the upper left-hand corner and quickly go around just to introduce yourselves if you haven't met everybody on the screen. Of course, I'm Tom Zara from JourneyWoman. Ryan, you want to say hi?
Yeah, I'm Ryan, and I manage Los Escados Lodge in La Ceiba, Honduras.
In the state of Honduras. Great. Kathy
La
Wood?
Ceiba.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Kathy Wood. Right now I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, and leaving Saturday for 3.5 months in Europe. So good to be here. I own the company European Experiences.
And Renee, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. My name's Renee Kimball, and I am in Bocas del Toro, Panama, and we have a lodge called Tranquilo Bay Eco Adventure Lodge.
So you and Ryan probably should connect after this call and talk with each other. Given your location and the kinds of things he's been doing, he's quite inventive and experimental on how to promote and market lodges. Hello, Gail. How are you?
Hi, Tom. I'm good. I'm Gail Higginbotham. I'm based in New York. I have a small, just me, luxury travel curator specializing in travel to Africa. Nice to see you.
And Gail is part of the group of tour operators that are promoting pre and post tours to the 30th anniversary cruise in Africa, and has a really wonderful itinerary that she's put together, and we're about to start promoting it like crazy in a week or so. But very excited to have you part of the 30th anniversary. It's great to meet you and to partner with you on this work.
Likewise.
Nancy, how are you? I don't know if she...
Hi, everybody. Can you see me? I don't think you can, right?
I can see a picture of you in a red hat, and we can hear you now.
right,
You're on mute.
Yeah, that's not, you know what? I have a new laptop that I'm just trying right now, which is a bad idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect because I probably didn't put the settings, for my camera and everything on it. So I'm going to disconnect and go on my cell phone. Okay. I'll be right back.
All right.
I'll be right back. Okay, bye.
And Evelyn, I can see your name, but I can't see your face.
Yeah, I was typing. Hello, everyone.
Evelyn is part of my team in supporting the tour operators, and she helps me with all of the marketing efforts that we're doing. Shauna is joining us, and then Nancy will join us. Hello, Shauna, how are you?
I'm great, Tom. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Another member of our 30th anniversary support group, Gail, sitting up as above you. I don't know if you two have met each other, but she is also part of the team that's participating in the pre and post.
Hi, Gail. Nice to meet you.
Arts.
Nice to meet you too, Shauna.
Great. So this topic is on the subject of branding, and I know that we have talked in the past about this in passing, but never comprehensively. And so these calls are designed to sort of explore all the things that we're doing to support your businesses, share with you the experiences we're having in improving our ability to attract and support solo women travelers. And so I thought it would be helpful. Hello, Nancy, that's you. We can see you now.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
You want to introduce yourself, just so we know who you are and where you are and what you've been up to?
All right, I'm Nancy McGee from absolutely southern France. So guess where I am? In the south of France. And I run a destination management company offering curated tours mainly for women to the south of France, but I've now expanded to other European countries like Austria, Italy, Spain, Belgium, and Morocco. So yeah, and they're small group tours, rather more luxury oriented. And yeah, so that's it. Hi, everybody.
It's good to see you. It's been a while since we've seen you.
I know. It's been bad timing every time. Sorry about that. I'm really glad to be here, though. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
So the topic is branding, and my perspective on this subject, here comes Regina. Let me introduce her quickly. She's probably calling in from the West Coast. Hi, Regina.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure it out. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Make a quick introduction, Regina, because we haven't jumped into the subject of branding just yet, but now that you're here, we'll just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about Bold Spirit.
Oh, okay. My name is Regina Winklebryan, and I'm in Washington State in the Pacific side of the US. And I'm the founder of Bold Spirit Travel. We lead all women small group trips around the world. I'm about to take off at the end of this month to Sicily in southern Italy to lead 5 trips. And I'll be back mid-June. So, and I've been part of this group. I don't know. When did we start? 2020?
COVID, the day after COVID started.
So yeah, so I've been around for a while, but I haven't been able to attend for quite a bit. So I'm happy to be back and to see all of you.
Right. Well, it's great that you're here because I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the tour operator websites that I've been looking at, and yours is one of them. So it will be discussed in the context of this conversation. So the topic is branding. And just to orient you to the topic, prior to JourneyWoman, I was the president of the New York office of Interbrand, which is arguably the world's largest and most influential branding consultancy. And I worked there for 27 years on all kinds of brands. But it was around 2009 that my whole perspective on branding changed. And it launched my perspective and my practice into a very specific area around purpose, which back then, no one really understood how that connected to brands and how that connected to commercial enterprises. But I became a rather prolific prophet of the idea of purpose and applied that thinking to banks, to energy companies, to consumer products companies like Procter & Gamble. And so understood its application across a really wide spectrum of industries, startups to Fortune 10 companies. And that experience was paralleled by the work that Carolyn was doing for our Canadian office. So the two of us come from the same discipline. And I'm just going to wet my whistle. I'm still recovering from a 9-hour flight yesterday from Madrid back to Toronto, where I was in Spain for about 2 weeks. So my body's still adjusting to both the weather and the damage of the trip. And the question that I pose is, is branding an important part of your priorities as owners of your businesses? And I would suspect all hands would go up and agree that it is important. And it's particularly critical today, I think, than any time before now, in that, one, the marketplace had such a massive disruption because of the COVID, and we had this 18-month hiatus, and then we had this bust to boom period coming out of COVID, and now some semblance of normalcy, I suppose, has returned, but it's revealed that the marketplace is extremely competitive, as you all know. And two things emerge as kind of critical to this environment. One is the need to differentiate, clearly a requirement of anybody in the marketing of an organization. And secondly, avoid the negative impact of selling on price, which happens in highly competitive markets. And it's just a question of who can last the longest by going the lowest. And that is not a business any of us want to be in. So the question is, how do we elevate our offering, and how do we present our brands in a way that allows you to command a premium price? It allows you to be distinct and secure higher levels of loyalty from your current and past users. And how do you increase the value of this asset that you have spent your lives building? Because at the end of the cycle, no doubt, you will want to sell your brand. And so you'll want to be able to value what that brand is worth, unless you just want to fold your tent and say goodbye, which I don't think is necessarily the legacy that you want to have. So these things, percolate in our daily conversations about our brand. It's part of how we look and study your brands. And in fact, it inspired Carolyn and I to have a separate consulting practice now that helps tour companies, accommodations, small cruise ships around this topic of my brand. Am I doing everything that the brand needs to be as strong as it possibly can be? And can you help us value this brand so that at a point in time when we want to sell the brand, we know how to make a persuasive and defensible presentation as to its value. That is not what we're going to talk about now, but I'm certainly available to talk to anybody who wants to pursue that conversation at a later date. What I want to do is remind ourselves about what a brand is. It's obviously this intangible asset that is probably a near and dear reflection of your own commitment to your business and your personality and your view in the world. And so it's highly, highly personal. And it is this thing that you need to protect and grow in order for it to be viable long term. And one of the sort of compelling realities about a brand, and the way I typically describe it to our clients, is the brand is what people say when you're not in the room. What their opinion of you is in fact what your brand stands for. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, do you know what people say about your brand when you're not in the room? And more importantly, what do you want people to say about your brand when you're not in the room? And having a sort of conscious understanding of that as a powerful dynamic in a highly competitive market where choice is the plethora of options are there to be had. You're not in a position to make your case, but your brand is. And so this discussion is really about what is the narrative for your brand and how are you presenting your brand in a way that properly and effectively represents your vision, your passion, your ambition when you're not in the room. So what I wanted to do was share with you some examples of good and bad brands in the travel category, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion. But it's influenced by a conversation that I heard in Puget Sound, of all places, many, many decades ago. And it was part of your assignment, if you read the email, which is to listen to a TED speech by Simon Sinek. I'm going to play the first 4 or 5 minutes of it, so indulge me. But it is important to set a context for this conversation that had a profound effect on me as a professional in this business. And I hope it conjures some thoughts on your part. But I'm going to play this video and hopefully it all works. And then we'll come back and have a conversation about what Simon has to say. Can you see my screen?
No yet.
Let me see. It's a video.
Did you go to share screen?
Let me see. Wait a sec. Share screen is top.
Bottom,
Bottom, yeah.
next to the chat icon. Well, I don't know, because you're the host, so maybe it is on top.
Let me just
Bottom
see.
beside participants.
I have it. Yeah, I have participants, chat, reactions, and then share. That's what I have down at the bottom.
Share
When you
should
click
be,
on your name, when you click on your name, click on your name
Yeah.
at the bottom, and then a menu will pop up.
Wait a sec. Now you see it?
no.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
Now we
yes,
do.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Yay.
Yay. All right. So let me just expand this. And you can see the screen now. I'm going to hit play.
Our central nervous system, we connect multiple applications into it. It's Jira, Notion, Figma. It's all came out.
So let me get out of here. All right. One second. I'm just trying to shut this down. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Can you see me now?
You're still sharing your screen.
Hold on.
If you use the same button you used to share it, then it'll let you stop sharing on that same one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it at the bottom of the screen. Why I can't get there, I don't know. Huh.
I wonder if, is it at the top of the screen for you, maybe, because you're the host?
Can you just hit escape?
I hit escape. Nuts. Ah, There we go. It popped up. It was hiding. So, questions, comments, observations. I'd like to know to what degree any of that was consistent with the way you think, an observation that you can connect to relative to other brands, other organizations in the travel industry, and to what degree does he make a point that we think is compelling? Now, open it up to any comments from any of you.
I like the comment that the profit, what did he say? Profit is just the result. You know, sometimes we're so focused on, oh, I gotta make sales. It's just the result of everything else. It's not the main focus.
Yeah.
I really liked this reminder, you know, I thought that this was just such a great refocusing. I mean, it's like stuff you already know, but just to hear it again and again, just to make your brand more authentic, make your focus, your passion, your purpose, make that true to your heart and follow that is like, I appreciate you sharing this because I think that we can't hear that enough.
I think that it's a valuable tip, but I don't think that it's for startups like small companies or that are struggling and they need to make profit, and they can say whatever their purpose is, but if they're not selling, they're not. So I think Apple was probably able to get a team of consultants on board and say, okay, we're making money now. Let's start communicating. Let's start getting our act together. But not all small companies can do that, I think. That being said, it's definitely what I think is very important is we're talking about building an image, branding. And that's it's important to communicate a message. I think like why we're doing this. It's important to do that. And more so today than before. And there's a lot of, you know, different trends on the market right now. There's health and well-being, especially after COVID. There's, you know, and more people are looking for niche concepts. So it's good to have that sort of niche and communicate about it. I think that that's what they're trying to, that's how I would approach it anyways. Get out there, communicate something that nobody else is doing in a different way and focus on that as opposed to sales. Because I can do that now. When I started up my business, I had to sell.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a concept. You know, I was just selling trips like everybody else was. But now that I've grown, and I think everybody here, you're all experienced. Now that you've grown, you know more where you're going. So now you can have that, you can make that statement about your business. You know why you're working. At the beginning, not all of us knew why. At least that's my case anyway.
The idea of why is the germ of every organization that's successful. And I think that, you know, Apple started in a garage and with two guys that said, how do we do this differently? And so it was always the focal point of who they were and what they were doing and what they were designing and why they were designing and how they were turning the market upside down. I think that this is an important conversation to be having with yourself because the travel experiences that we create are only different because there's one ingredient that is unique that no one else has, which is yourself. France is France, Italy is Italy, Sicily is Sicily. It's how you approach that experience with the view that you have about yourself and the world that we operate in. So, and then owning that idea and expressing that idea as a reason why you should be chosen versus somebody else. I dare say there are 150 itineraries to Sicily from 150 different companies. How is it that Bold Spirit has created a totally unique and different ownable experience. I would presume it's because Regina has a unique point of view about what that experience should be. And Sicily is just one adaptation of that idea. It's not Sicily for Sicily's sake. It's Bold Spirit's understanding of what that experience should be, and it happens to take place in Sicily. So, yes.
Tom, don't you think that that's even more important for small owner-operated businesses, like I think most of us here, as opposed to large Trafalgar tours, these big mega companies, Road Scholar, that have hundreds of tours a year all over the world? I think sort of the personal connection with you, and the business being a reflection of your value system, it's even more important in the small companies like ours. That how do you differentiate yourself from these massive machines that I know often do a fabulous job, but it's a very different kind of a business.
Question. And which is why this is the right audience for this conversation, because I think it's more compelling as a area to continually examine. And, the website and your web presentation is really a place where it is most evident that you're actually presenting yourselves in a completely distinct and unique and ownable way, which we'll segue to in a few minutes, because I do want to talk a little bit about what I think are some bad and some admirable experiences that we can learn from. And certainly we're students of this medium all the time, and we're constantly looking at best practices and others, which I'm sure you do as well. But it's something that we forget that we're sort of successful on the basis of our own comfort level with ourselves. And I think you need to always kind of look outside the four walls and make sure that you're using every tool available to express yourself in a unique way. Does everyone understand the idea? And because what I want to do is use some examples of what I think are interesting and compelling ways to articulate the why. What is your purpose? Because I think what we all share here is an audience of people who are, yes, interested in traveling, but at the end of the day, it's why do you travel? And why are you traveling to the places that are being suggested that you travel to? And continually ask that question and monitor that what your intentions are and what you're creating for your clients is in fact what they get, and they play it back. Because as I said in the beginning, your brand is what people say when you're not in the room. And are they going to talk about the cost and the itinerary, or are they going to talk about something else when they talk about your brand and the experience you create? And I dare say, looking at all of your websites, you're not interested in them talking about the price, and you're not interested in them talking about the itinerary. You are interested in how that experience changed them fundamentally, either in terms of understanding themselves or understanding the world in which we live in. And to me, that is demonstrating an effective ethos in action. So, question for all of you is this notion of why something that you're consciously articulating and expressing as you build your website, as you write your emails, as you guide your guests to a destination? I'm just interested into how pervasive is the idea of why you exist as an organization and why you exist creating these experiences is part of the ongoing narrative every time you connect with a client or a prospect. Yeah.
If I may, actually, it's interesting because it's a dilemma that I wonder about, actually, because my why for getting into travel was I was in media before. I was in content distribution, and I wanted to do something more meaningful. And I had an intention to get into sustainability and ESG. I've always traveled, as you know, Africa is my love, and conservation is a passion. So I wanted to get back into towards that. And so sustainability was conservation was my way of connecting with sustainability. And so my why for being in travel is to create awareness of the need for conservation, both wildlife communities, the 4 Cs of conservation in Africa. And that is my why, and it's through everything that I do, I believe, and I do have that forefront. But when you are operating a commercial operation, you know, I sometimes wonder, is my why almost, it absolutely shapes everything I do, every partner I partner with, every supplier, every lodge, and you hope that it calls the clients that ethos speaks to. But sometimes if there are clients that, you know, they'll benefit from that if they go, but that's not what they're necessarily looking for foremost. Does your why get in the way, you know? So that's sometimes something, but it absolutely has to be forefront in what you're doing. Otherwise, why are you doing what you're doing? And if you don't ask yourself that, is that really your why? Because maybe your real why is, I want to make money and I'm doing whatever I can to make money. But if your real why is something else, you have to be working towards that. And then just, you know, in terms of establishing a brand, if you're a one-man solopreneur, you are your brand, right? So there's almost putting yourself out there as, this is me, this is my ethos, work with me because this is my why, and how to communicate all of that really succinctly in one go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the putting yourself in that circle, in that why question, and representing that in your values, in your behavior, in your articulation, in the experiences that you create is common to all of you. And it begs the question, because it's an observation I have, is that if that is really important, it should be the very first thing that someone who doesn't know you experiences. And if I go to the websites, your websites, and that's what I think I need to hear first, I rarely see that. I usually see a name and a reference to where you go and how often you go, and maybe a picture of the owner, but never a narrative of the purpose, why you are doing what you are doing, because you're trying to attract people who are interested in you and interested in what you have created. They're not interested in just going to Italy. And there are examples where I think that is done effectively. And there are, unfortunately, more examples where that is absence from the presentation, from the brand, because the brand at the end of the day is you. And you are three-dimensional. You have a voice, you have a personality. And those things need to be heard and sensed and felt. If in fact, what makes you successful is your own vision for the brand. And I would invite you to take a look at how you present yourself. Is it two-dimensional or three-dimensional? Is it passionate? Is it personal? Is it persuasive? It and all of us have room for improvement in this area. There's no question. JourneyWoman included. We're constantly tinkering with how do we present the idea of solo women empowerment, women 50 plus, women to be courageous. These are not simple concepts, and there are lots of different ways that can be expressed. And the question is finding your right voice and finding your right tone. And it's hard when it's a one-person band and you have limited resources, but you're exposing yourself to a huge marketplace that is looking for something different. And once they connect with your point of view, they will be prospects who become clients, who become advocates, and they become your sales force. And at the end of the day, as Kathy Wood knows, that is really, really powerful. And so I'm going to just show you a couple of websites that are typical of the industry and lessons of what not to do. And I think all of us know that, but the temptation sometimes is to follow the leaders, and the leaders tend to be, to Kathy's point, the big 800-pound gorillas in the business. They are not to be emulated entirely for their approach. But if I go and share with you an example, which I will do now, that you cannot see, correct? So let me share. Where are you? Hold on, bear with me for a sec here. Where is it? Can you see this?
Yes.
G Adventures, yeah? Everybody knows who they are? What is their why is my question. This is the first articulation of their point of view. And it's, where do you want to go? Then it's, why don't you save a lot of money? And then it's, wow, here are all the places you can go and save, and here's the price. There isn't an iota of, why would I consider G Adventures? Who are they? What do they stand for? As you travel through their website, there is nothing until the very bottom where it says why you should travel with G Adventures. And again, it's the how and the what, not the why. So they're competing primarily on price. There is nothing here compelling to say, I feel like I belong in that community, that somehow they're talking to me in a way that connects me to who they are and what they stand for. There's no information from the CEO. There's no discussion about their B Corp. There's no discussion about their point of view on the environment. Nothing. This, in my opinion, is an example of a tour company that I find lacking, and they are representative of so much of the industry. So thank goodness they're this way, because as we've discussed, you have an opportunity to have a different point of view and to talk to a niche market that is more than interested than just a destination and a price. Here's another one. Do you see this one? Yes?
No, we still see G Adventures.
All right, let me stop that then. Okay. Any questions on G Adventures? Any other critical observations you might want to share for the rest of us beyond my toxic view of them?
Well, their picture was a young guy, right? A young guy. So I kind of have the feeling there that that's their audience of, I mean, that's who they chose to feature, kind of a young guy in a somewhat exotic place riding in a rickety vehicle.
Yeah, not exactly what we thought. And I doubt that that's in fact necessarily what they intended, but there you have it. I'm going to switch to the other end of the spectrum. And share this. Do you see what I'm looking at now?
No. Oh.
Oh,
Now, yes.
yes?
Yes.
So this is Wild Women Expeditions. Jennifer Haddow operates out of Vancouver Island. This is a complete rebranding that they just completed, literally, I think within the last 2 months. New logo, new word mark, the use of video constantly through their website, which to me is way under leveraged by most. And it's immediately stating what they do, why they do what they do, providing women with transformative travel experiences and empowering communities since 1991. There's no discussion of destinations. There's no discussion of pricing. It is a powerful video presentation of the experiences that they create, the audience that they're attracting, women of all types and all ages. And then they share that experience with a detailed, lengthy narrative about who they are, testimonials from their clients, what they stand for, what they're doing as participating and bettering the world as a result of what they, the experiences that you have with them. And then finally, they just start to, nowhere do they say, where do we go? Nowhere do they have a price on any of their tours. And to me, this is very, very bold. This is indicative of the kinds of, at the other end of the spectrum, albeit somewhere in between is probably where most of us are going to end up. But I just think it's, again, a highly successful startup, reinvented by the new owner, and highly focused, highly compelling, highly branded, highly contemporary, and the business is as successful as any business you'd ever want. So it's remarkable what can be done when you start with the why. The last example, and I want Regina to talk about her brand. Not to pick on you, but, and I didn't know you would be here, but I do want to get you to talk about your brand for a sec. Let me just get you up.
Oh man, I have to follow Wild Women. I don't know. Your site looks awesome.
The site is awesome, but here it is. Now let me just get it to 1 sec. Can you see that?
Yes.
So talk about where, because this is expanded from where I knew you, and talk about why you do what you do and why you're having success. I love all the portraits, by the way. I think that's so important, is to show the actual experience. But talk a little bit about where the brand came from and where this website, how this website design is helping you, and then we'll leave the call after that conversation. But having you here, I think, would be really a valued lesson for the rest of us.
Well, wow, that's very flattering. I start, from the very beginning, which is when we all met. I always started with the why, and the why for me is to connect women, to create friendships and community. It's not really about going to Barcelona. That is just kind of like the profit, and I agree with Nancy, we all need to make money, but the why is women coming together through adventure. Most of them come alone. That's great, because you're going to meet your whole crew of fellow travelers when you come on this trip. And we keep it small so that we can foster relationship. And that's why it's all women as well. So yeah, that's my focus for every trip that we do. In fact, I was just trying to interview a tour leader before I came on this call, and I talked in length about, yeah, you got to be organized, but the most important thing that you need to do is facilitate a sense of the guests feeling welcomed in the group. They feel included. And if you're successful, then at the end of the trip, they want to stay in touch with each other, because they've created the beginnings of friendships.
And do you keep that community alive on a WhatsApp kind of dynamic or a Facebook group? Does it have a life after the tour is over?
Yeah, and it actually starts before the tour begins. All these steps are taken to create community and a sense of being welcoming the guests. Like, you're part of this special group. We do a pre-Zoom session where people introduce themselves so they can get an idea of who's going to be on there. And then we set up the WhatsApp 1 week before. And if people are behaving themselves in the WhatsApp, which a couple of times we've had to shut it down because there was some, bad behavior, but mostly they stay alive. And they'll just start to kind of bubble sometimes, around holidays, people start saying, oh, I'm thinking of you and our Camino trip, and happy holidays, everybody. And that's what I want to see. Or I'll get a picture from 2 guests and they're in Panama. Hey, we met on your trip. We're thinking of you because you brought us together. Here's a picture of us on this boat. Look at us now. We didn't know each other before.
Yeah, I think that's really such a powerful evidence of a successful experience, is the length and the longevity of that relationship, not only to each other, but to you, which is, at the end of the day, what the brand is meant to do, which is build loyalty and create advocates for what you do. I know we're getting to the top of the hour. Yeah, Ryan.
Just a question for Regina. So since branding and stuff and what we're talking about is so important, when you're interviewing somebody, are these people that are approaching you looking for a position or of a travel guide, or are you having to be really, really careful trying to find that person? Because obviously it's very, very important because that is your brand. Like, how difficult has it been for you to find somebody that you can trust? And are they coming to you or are you looking for them?
It sounds like you've dealt with this before, Ryan. And for me, you're right. It's like, these are like unicorn people. You all know because you work with guides. The perfect combination of organized, kind, patient, can also facilitate conversations, doesn't talk all the time, elicits, questions from guests. And that is really, that's a special person. And I've been asking for recommendations, and I have found some wonderful people. And then I have other places that I need to fill. And this lady I spoke to this morning, she came recommended through somebody else who I trust. So that's what my approach. If other people have better ideas about how to find these amazing guides, I am open to suggestions because it's been kind of a struggle for some of my trips.
Do they ever seem like they're really?
I can't be on all the trips. You're saying, Tom, like if we are solopreneurs, then we are the brand. Yes, but also like what Ryan's saying, we have to have other people who can emulate that same vibe because we can't be on all the trips.
Yeah. And to that point, it amplifies the need to have that, your point of view, captured somewhere so that somebody can have that conversation with you and say, I intrinsically associate with those values. I can connect and appreciate that person's perspective, because you're right. You're looking for a clone, as best as you can find one, but they have to be the ambassador of your brand. And that is not an easy task to do. And as you grow, and I know that both Kathy and Nancy have expanded by inviting other partners who emulate and reflect what you stand for. And that is not an easy marriage to organize and to sustain, because as I said in the very beginning, this is a very personal subject, because at the end of the day, it is about you and your ambition and your vision and your passion, and transferring that to strangers and to others is no small task.
I just wanted to say that I'm in the same position as Regina. I haven't found anyone really to kind of substitute. That's why I'm so upset, because I can't offer as many tours as I'd like to, because everyone wants to travel with me, and that's a problem. And when you say that I'm bringing on people, they're not replacing me. They're just guest stars, like they're famous people that come on my tours and they attract the guests. So it's a problem. It's a problem. And I've tried, training them and getting them on board. And, there's no secret. If you don't know the tour, even if you're a nice person, and even if you're kind and, you're a good listener, a good talker, you're funny, you're efficient, if you don't know the tour, and that is a problem, because my tours are very personal. They're the people I work with, the suppliers, even the bus drivers, I know them. They're like, I call them by their first name. I know them. And if somebody comes in, my guests will not get the same trip as when they travel with me.
Yep.
So how do you do that? How do you get someone to replace you? You just can't. So the other thing I think maybe what you can do is, once they are on board and you trust that person, is you train them, and then they go on 1 or 2 trips, and maybe make like a kind of a guidebook, like the what you can say, how to handle difficult situations, what to do if how do we handle that? Maybe just sort of make like a kind of a guidebook that person would have. I don't know, but it's quite the challenge, definitely.
For me, I don't want to get a lot bigger, and part of that is I like being with the people. I like being, and I would rather have, like, well, still we're doing 28 tours this year, which is a lot, not me personally, but I'm doing 16. And I have a business partner that you know, Nancy, who we are very, very compatible. And we had 18 months during COVID to spend huge amounts of time virtually together and some in person. But I don't want to just work in my office on the computer while other people are out and about. And I'd rather have a very successful, smaller business that sells out every year than get bigger. And what I'm doing is managing leaders. So, I think you've got to balance that too of growth is good, but it's not necessarily the be all. Like, I don't want to be G Adventures. Maybe if I was 40 years old, I would want to be much bigger, but right now that's not. I've been in big companies, I've managed lots of people, and I don't want to do that anymore. So
I think it's a really good topic. I'd love to have a session on how do you expand your business? What are the challenges? What are the barriers? What are the lessons learned? I think that would be a good topic, and I think it's an obvious extension of this conversation, which is you've now got the brand doing everything that you want it to do. Now you have the opportunity to share that with a bigger audience and grow the business, which at the end of the day, because what Nancy, you're describing is, the repeatable business model, and that's not repeatable when you're the only source of consistency. And so it's only as big as you have the energy to do. And how Kathy Wood does 16 is beyond me, but she's a superhuman being.
I don't know. Yeah. I'd like to. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'd like to participate in that discussion because I'm in a position right now where I'm partnering up with a person who's going to take over my business because I want to stop. And maybe I could share like how that's what I'm doing to get that person trained and for her to take on this image of me, and she's going to be taking everything on afterwards when I gradually leave, which is probably at the end of the year. So I could, if you're going to be developing a topic like that, I'd be interested in maybe providing a testimonial, or maybe, what the difficulties that I'm encountering, because when it's a one-man show, like a person like Kathy, people know you, they know, Regina, they know me. When you want to sell your business, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work to be done to get my clients to appreciate this person. So you have to slowly integrate that person. I don't want to go into it now because we're, going over time, but, we all, I didn't know it was going to be this complicated.
Yeah, I think it's a great topic, and every one of us has this conversation. How do we grow? What is the exit strategy? Business, all these things are relevant to managing the asset that you've built, which is the brand and your idea of what to do. So we're past the hour. I apologize, but I think it was a good topic. At least I enjoyed talking about it. And as I said, I'll think about what the next call could be. And Nancy, I'll check with you and see if you're available when you are available, and we'll try to schedule it around you. But this is, I think, an series of discussions that evolve as a result of this discussion. We got into the next one, and I think that's a good segue into finding legitimate topics that we can share with the rest of the partners that aren't here. So I will share this with them, and thank you all for your comments, your observations, and your contributions. I think it's great.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. It was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.